Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be sitting down and filming my August rankings video. I literally almost died in August. I don't know why I'm laughing when I say that, but I was really sick in August. If you guys missed that update, I did film a little life update. I will try and remember to link that down below. But basically, I had toxic shock syndrome and I was in the hospital for a couple of days in August, but I still managed to try 14 eyeshadow palettes. And honestly, I wouldn't say I would rather go back to the hospital than try and rank these, but it is so tough to rank. Every month I feel like, okay, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be able to rank these, but there were so many good palettes, you guys. I just was in like pain. Like I was sitting here like there's no good way to rank these because I feel like they're all such good palettes and a lot of these palettes are indie. I almost thought I was gonna pick a neutral palette as number one and then I like changed my mind. So there's a lot of juicy controversy in this video. So if you guys are curious as to how I ranked my August palettes, then just keep watching. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome. My name is KARENHARRIS. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. Today is a series I sit down and film every month. I rank the palettes I tried out in the previous month. This is just a great way for me to go back, tell you guys what I like, what I don't like, what I think you should check out, what I think you should totally pass on. So if you like this type of video, if you like to see new makeup releases, especially eyeshadow palettes, then this is the channel for you. Highly recommend subscribing, turning on that bell so you're notified every time I post. And without further blabbering, let's get into it. Okay, so if you're like, Karen, what is on your eyes? That is such a cool eyeshadow look. Thank you so much. I will link the tutorial in my description box. This is the Gourmand Girls X Doodles by the Bunny eyeshadow palette, and it is the Spooked palette, and it is their Halloween launch. I think it should be out already. I'll put all the information down in the description box so you guys can check there. I am like living for this pop of green in the inner corner. I like really went for it. So yeah, very excited. But now let's get into the rankings. Okay, you guys, I have two palettes from the same brand, and in 13th and 14th place we have the Give Me Glow Nightlife palettes. Now these are nice palettes, don't get me wrong, but I feel like this whole collection, I kind of went about it the wrong way because you could buy just the plain palettes if you wanted, and I just like overcommitted on this situation and I bought the whole thing, and some of these shades I already had in my collection, so I did end up spending quite a bit of money on this, and I don't know that that was like the smartest move for me. Since we've been talking a lot about money on my channel, I will say that is part of the reason why this is ranking a little lower. And then they did have an issue with one of the shades in this palette, which Give Me Glow did refund me for the broken shade, and I happen to have the shade they were going to replace that shadow with. So overall, probably not the smoothest launch, and I think these color stories are really beautiful. I just can't let go of that feeling of like a little bit of disappointment just with how everything worked out. So for that reason, these are ranking in 13th and 14th place. Okay, in 12th place, this one is ranking lower because honestly, all the other palettes are so good in this video, and this one is ranking lower because it's an all matte palette and because it's 6 shades, and a lot of the other palettes in this video have a lot more shades in them. This is the Colored Rain Secret Garden palette. I've talked to you guys so much about how excited I am to see Colored Rain kind of coming back, and they've launched so many palettes this year, which I feel like is so different compared to previous years. They just launched that Thunder palette, which is like a cool tone blue palette that looks really beautiful. Honestly, if I had more time and I had more money, I would definitely buy more of their stuff, but they did actually send me this collection, so I was so happy to try this out. And yeah, this is ranking in number 12 simply because it's small and it's an all matte palette, which is really not my vibes. If there was like a few metallics in here, I'd be all over this because it's a beautiful green grungy palette. Okay, so quick disclaimer, there are a lot of rainbow palettes in this video. I feel like I need to like, I don't know, think about that for a second, but the first rainbowy palette, well, I guess the Nightlife palettes were kind of rainbow too, but the Nomad palette from Beaute. So this is what the palette looks like. It's a beautiful palette, beautiful color story. I will say it is a little bit random, the layout. I feel like it's just like a bunch of quads that got jammed in together. I did see Beaute is teasing a new palette, and I am so curious to see what they're going to come out with because I feel like they've done a lot of the color stories, and I will say I love that they do so many colorful color stories when it comes to these 20 pan palettes. So very, very curious. And I will say this one is also ranking kind of in the under 10 category because Beaute used to be such a great shopping experience. You could buy your stuff, you could pay expedited shipping, and you would get your stuff in a decent amount of time. And I just have not been enjoying how long it takes for me to get my makeup. When I ordered the new Mood palette, I did even pay for expedited shipping, and I didn't feel like I got my products any faster than if I hadn't paid it. So I know that's not like a big deal for some people, but for me, it's a big deal when I'm paying for express shipping. So I just wanted to mention that I do still really like the quality of their products, and I'll probably still buy the other palette that they're coming out with, but I don't know. I almost feel like I don't want to buy it because by the time I get my palette, it's probably already going to be old news. So we'll have to see what the color story is. We'll have to see if it draws me in. But overall, you guys know, big fan of the Beaute Bay eyeshadow palettes. Okay, in 10th place, we've got another rainbow palette. This is the Tropic Color Palette by Sydney Grace and the Fancy Face. Now, I will say, again, they're not like super, like there's no red shade in here, so technically it's not a rainbow palette, but I guess a colorful palette with almost the entire rainbow, I guess, to be accurate. But this is a gorgeous palette. They did such a good job with this. The reason I'm ranking this a little bit lower is because as vibrant as this is, a lot of the shades are still pretty muted for my preferences, but you guys know Sydney Grace has amazing quality, and I really like that they kind of did like a chunky, colorful palette because I feel like their singles, they have colors like throughout their single range, but other than the Temptalia palette, I feel like they definitely gravitate towards more neutrals. So I was like really pumped when they collabed with Tina because she is like the queen of color. And congratulations to Tina and Sydney Grace on this beautiful collaboration. It's always amazing when creators get a chance to flex their creativity. So yeah, beautiful palette and one of my favorite brands. So very, very excited about this one. Okay, in 9th place, again, shocker, a colorful palette. This is the Nomad Cosmetics Costa Rica palette. So again, it's a beautiful, colorful palette. I like to say this is like a half colorful, half green palette, which is like right up my alley. I feel like I'm gonna shock you guys right now, but I really prefer the new palette, the Hudson Valley palette. You'd think like this would just be like right up my alley, but the Hudson Valley palette that they just launched is so beautiful. I just love that color story. I don't know if it's because I'm so into fall right now and I'm like full blown, like let's do all of the sunset eye looks. But I just really like that palette. So I think that's why this one, I was like influenced to rank this one a little bit lower because I just love the new one so, so much. But this is a beautiful palette and I just had so much fun playing with it. So this is in 9th place. Okay, in 8th place is a small but mighty palette. This is the Fantasy Cosmetica Sorceress palette. So there are a few palettes with very curated color stories in this video, and this one is so, so beautiful. I'm actually filming this the day they just announced their Bard palette, which is also stunning, but this one is definitely for the purple and blue lovers out there. And I think they did such a good job with this palette. I think Fantasy Cosmetica is one of those indie brands that's like up and coming. They're not like huge yet. I think the owner of the brand does such a good job of releasing thoughtful color stories, which is huge. It's so tempting to, you know, have these big colorful palettes and like give everybody everything, but I think it takes a lot more restraint to create like these very specific color stories, and I love that about them. And I think their formula is really nice too. So yeah, very excited about that palette. And then in 7th place, honestly, I almost ranked this higher, but I was like, girl, there's no way a Tarte palette is gonna outrank some of these amazing indie brands. So I did rank the Tarte Man-Eater palette in 7th place. And honestly, this is just like the sweatpants of eyeshadow palettes for me. I just feel like it's an easy palette. You just grab it, you can throw on an easy everyday eye look, but I love that they included a black and a really light shade as well, so you can like, you know, transform the shadows a little bit. This metallic formula is amazing. I have not tried a Tarte palette in quite some time, but these metallics honestly are so buttery and impactful. So I'm really, really shocked. I think this is like one of the best like mainstream holiday palettes that you're going to be able to get at Sephora or Ulta. So if you're not really into shopping from indie brands, because heck, there are plenty of people out there that are not into shopping from indie brands, highly recommend checking out this Tarte Man-Eater After Dark palette. And if you're shopping for your friends, like if you have friends that just need like a good eyeshadow palette and you're kind of looking at Ulta or Sephora, this one's great. Plus, I think it'll be a really good one to pick up during the Sephora sale because it is a little bit pricier, but it is also a giant palette. So just so you guys know. Now, if you want a more indie neutral palette, definitely check out number 6. This is the Nearly Neutral palette from Glaminatrix. And I mean, look at this palette. It is so gorgeous. These metallics are so like squishy. It's that like beautiful squishy metallic formula with a ton of beautiful glitter. I think this is like the ultimate like bridal palette, or if you just really like neutrals, this is a great palette. And I had so much fun playing with this. I actually did like a green and burgundy look. I've been really wearing a lot of this like olive green with like burgundy in my crease. This is the 3rd look I've done with that combination. So not really sure what's going on, but I really like pairing those 2 shades together. It's like the ultimate fall shade combo for me, but this is a really, really nice palette. You guys will have to let me know in the comments if you did end up picking this one up. Okay, in 4th place, this one's a bit of a surprise, but I'm telling you, I wore these metallics in multiple videos and I just got such great feedback. So this is a small but mighty palette. It is the Meant to Be palette from SugarDrizzle. I had so much fun pairing this with the SugarDrizzle The Mattes palette because this has such beautiful metallics. Again, really nice, really soft, really buttery metallics, which is what I'm into. And I think there's even like some multi-chromes in this palette. So really, really stunning. Love this size. It's just a fun little addition to your already existing matte eyeshadow palettes. Okay, in 3rd place is this palette. It's the Ace Beaute Palatapoli palette. And honestly, again, kind of another random color story, but I love how they set this up so it flows really well. I like that there's like randomness, but if you just look down each line, it also has a quad for you, so you could do an eye look that way if you wanted. So the pinks, the green, yellow, the browns, purple, another row of like plums, and then some beautiful blues there. So this is the Ace Beaute formula I really enjoy. I feel like they have 2 formulas, their old formula and this newer like gorgeous like thick metallic formula, which you know I've talked about so many times that I really enjoy a formula that's really like opaque and foils. And if you guys haven't seen my video with the Violet Sage palette, highly recommend, I think it was called Violet Sage. Yeah, highly recommend checking that out. And then I always get confused with Ace Beaute because they do have like really good sales on their palettes. And you guys ask me like, is it the new formula or the old formula? Because they did reformulate and they've been trying to And I think they've been trying to get rid of the old formula and offering it at discounted prices, but now I'm not sure if they are still trying to get rid of the old formula or if it's a new formula. I should really reach out and ask. But anyway, the palatapoli palette is the new formula that I like, so if that helps you guys out. But that is number 3, and I thought it was such a fun release. They had like this whole board game concept, which you don't have to, you know, participate at the board game if you don't want to, but I believe that the only way to get the eyeshadow palette is with the board game. It's like built into the packaging. I don't think that affects the cost though, but I thought it was a fun little innovative kind of quirky thing for a brand to do, because it just made it a little bit more fun and interesting, I'm sure, for people that really like that sort of thing. Okay, in second place, oh my god, you guys, this one was a battle between 1 and 2, because I was like, okay, I just hated having to do this and like deciding, but in second place, I'm gonna give it to the Alice in Wonderland collab with Sigma Beauty. I just had to give Sigma props for creating a colorful palette. I feel like they're so neutral heavy when it comes to their palettes, because that's just what they like to do, and that's okay. I do think they have some palettes with color in them though, so I had to just give them props for giving me all these like teal colors and just so much fun. I love this concept, and you guys know I'm not a big Disney person. I didn't grow up watching Disney movies, so it's not really my thing, but I think this is just a great mix of colorful and neutral, and if you want to, you can just throw some neutrals in with the colorful crease or vice versa, and just a really fun palette for the Sigma line. So I'm very excited. I'm really excited to see what they have coming out for holiday. But this is so cool. You guys will have to let me know if you ended up picking anything up from the Alice collection. Okay, so did anybody guess what is number 1? Do you have any guesses? Definitely feel free to pause the video and comment if you do. But I picked... This palette is so cool. Like I said, there's a lot of like colorful palettes in this video, so it was really freaking tough for me to pick a favorite palette, but this has some beautiful duochrome metallic shades and a lot of fun colorful matte shadows. So I really enjoyed playing with this palette, and I definitely want to create more looks with this. I love the size of this. I like the packaging. I know Unearthly definitely has a more dark, I don't want to say different, it's just a different vibe from me, and this one is definitely more my vibe. It's got that like iridescent pink, blue, greens, like mishmash of color. So I love everything about the palette. You guys know I'm a big fan of Unearthly Cosmetics. I cannot wait for their Halloween palettes to get to me. I am getting 1 cent in PR and I bought the other 3, so I want to do some sort of video or even just play with them myself, because I think all of the color stories are so interesting. So very excited. Definitely make sure you look forward to that. But that is it. That is the number 1 palette of August. I'm already a little bit anxious about having to do this again for September, because there's so many great spooky palettes for September. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what was your favorite palette in the month of August. You guys know I'm nosy. I love hearing from you guys. So I will catch you in the comments, and I will see you in a new video very soon. Bye guys!